Okay, so we have placed the spline points, but you can see the curve is way off in some places, and it's like curving down instead of curving up. So we have to go back into our sketch and um, refine the placement of the curves and the points. And one of the things you're going to have to learn how to use is those green lines, which are kind of like handles that define the curvature. So I'm going to double click sketch 1. And that brings me back into this, and I'm going to turn it again so it's upright. So if I click a point, you can see that it's got 2 green handles with it. In fact, let me click this one. And actually, sometimes we have constraints in here that we don't want. So this constraint came in when I finished it. So I'm going to click that constraint and delete it. Okay, so now I'm going to click this again, and you can see it's got a green line, and as I turn it, it alters the point. The other thing is, the smaller the point, the sharper, or the smaller the line, the sharper the point. So I am going to do that. I'm not, and then you can see it only made this curve nicer, actually. You pull it. This is a good time to zoom in. So you can see that that's not the best curvature I want. I want it more like this. So that line makes that curve nice. Let me try this line. Oh, it's the same one. Sorry. Okay, so let's go to this point, and we can turn this to fix that point. And then I can also move the point so it's, whoops, so it's more in the center here. So, and then if you want to stop seeing all the points and curves and stuff, you can double click, actually, or hit escape. So you can see that it's better, but it's not great. So I'm going to click that point again. I'm going to move it right about here, and I'm going to click off of it. I kind of like that placement. So now I'm going to click this one. I think I'll move it to here. And then as I turn it this way, it fixed this curve, but it didn't fix this, but it kind of ruins that curve. So sometimes you have to go back and forth. So let me know, I want to do this one. There. So it's much better than it was. And it's close enough. I can try tweaking this a little. Yeah, that's actually better because it even works on top. So again, when you click away or hit escape, it'll kind of return to more normal. Now you can see, so that's a pretty nice curvature here. Feels like it's 2 different curves, which could be a problem later. But I'll fix it. So, and it might, anyway. You can see that this point and this point are supposed to be sharper. So if I click this point, I'm going to move it, try to move it to the peak. But the other thing we have to do, and I re-clicked the point to see its handles, is you got to make these handles smaller because that gives you a sharper vertice. Okay, so you can see if I click off, that's much nicer. And then I can click this point, bring it in a little bit. I'm going to leave it as is and click off. I'm going to move this point maybe to there, but that's a pretty nice shaped ear. And even though it's not exactly, it's going to work for what we're doing. So now let me click this point. I'll bring it down. It's got a pretty good curvature, but if I tilt it this way, that's pretty good. So again, I'm going to click off of it. And if I click this one, I can use this curvature for there. And I'm going to zoom over, click off, click this point, make it pretty short, and turn it, and then probably also move it. So you could see that sometimes when you're playing with a point, other points become active because Fusion knows there's a related curvature there. So I'm going to tilt this like this. And again, it's not exact, but if you look in the grand scheme of things, it's a nice curve for what we're trying to make. It's this point really that needs a bit of movement. I'm going to move this point over here, and that made a nice curvature. I'm going to take this point and move it closer to here and make the arms a little shorter. Now, this is going pretty well for me, guys, but I've done this before. It's going to be a little more frustrating for you, but with your frustration, you're going to learn more. If I want to get this really accurate, I could add another spline point. And so if I right-click here, it allows me to insert a spline fit point. And then when I click on an existing line, it created a new spline point for me. And again, I'm going to hit escape to get out of that. And then I'm going to click over here. Okay, so now if I click this point, I can bring it closer, and then I have a closer fit. You may not get as close a fit as I do, because like I said, I've done this before, and you only get better at the spline tool by playing with it. So be patient with yourselves, and remember that it helps a lot, A, to save a lot. Oh, I haven't even saved it yet. Playing with fire. Charger bolts. So you want to save a lot. You want to click away a lot to sort of get out of the madness. But then come in and click again, and you only have to focus on that one point, which I know opens other arms because it opens the related arms. But once you get a pretty good fit, just click away. So you can start fresh on another point. So if I bring this down here, click the point again, and shorten the green arms, then you get a closer fit. Now I'm going to click this point and move it over to here. So that's pretty good fit. So what you're looking for is pretty good fit. You can see that this half of my horse is way better than this half of my horse. So just take it one point at a time. And I'll be back. I'm going to refine the rest of mine and be back for the extrusion part. So be patient with yourselves. Click away to stop some of the madness. Hit escape if things get really crazy. And just be patient with yourselves. I'll see you in the next video.